Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Monday, April 8th, 2024 by Gaia Blooming. I'm Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I am healing and valuing who I am. And here we are. It is Eclipse Day. I would say this is one of the bigger astrological days of 2024. I will say, and I've seen a few people remark about this, I've never seen so much hype around the energy of an eclipse. And I want to remind everybody that we have eclipses at least 4 times a year. At least. Sometimes more. One year there was like 6 or 8 of them. It was too much. But we have 4 this year. This one is a total eclipse, but we have a total eclipse once every, I think it's something like 18 months, 2 years, something like that in the world. So we often have these big eclipse energies, working us. Now, this one does pack a little additional punch because it is an eclipse conjunct Chiron, which has some really potent wisdom in it for us and some healing work for us to do. But besides that, it is the run-of-your-mill typical new moon solar eclipse. It's interesting because generally in the new moon, in the dark of the moon, you can't actually see the moon. And because it is pathing, we are in a Mercury retrograde, which is probably some of the hype. Because its path, goes across the sun, we get to see the moon in its darkness. And I think that this is an important lesson for all of us, that even though we all have light that in one way or another shines like the sun, shines like the stars, we are light. There is shadow in us to be recognized. And so part of the energy and part of the healing of this eclipse energy is recognizing and seeing the shadow for what it is, right? It's not the full story, but it's a big part of the story. And it makes the illumination of the light just that much more potent and special. What everybody's looking at so much is not necessarily the shadow, but it's the light that comes around the shadow, that stands despite the shadow, that we get so twiddle-pated about, right? So there is a piece of the unconscious, there is a piece of the psyche to be grasped and understood and looked at in and through this energy. Now, eclipses are not just a wham bam moment. I have been feeling it building for sure. It's hitting my chart in some potent ways. It's hitting my life in some potent ways. April 8th is actually the day my father passed, as of today, 9 years ago. And so it's definitely been some big lessons for me in this. Where was I going in this? Well, one of the places I want to go is looking at the Chiron aspect of this. So Chiron is such an interesting energy. Chiron is known as the wounded healer. I always say that Chiron's motto is healer, heal thyself. And being that it is an intrinsic part of this eclipse, it is 19 degrees, 24 minutes. The moon is 19 degrees, 24 minutes. The sun is 19 degrees, 24 minutes. This is a conjunction. It is very potent, which means in the cosmic dance of things, this is an intentional step that's saying, hey, humans, healer, heal thyself. Look at your wounds. Look at these shadows. It's not something to be afraid of, but it's something that needs attention to. The story of Chiron is interesting. Chiron was a centaur, rejected by his parents, taken in. Some stories have it as Zeus, some stories have it as Apollo. Are Zeus and Apollo the same? They may be. I don't think so, though. I think Apollo and Zeus are different in the different myths. Sorry, I'm not up to date with all my characters, because I think Zeus is like Jupiter. So Apollo and Jupiter are not the same. But different stories, different place, different energies taking in Chiron. But Chiron was full of wisdom, and Chiron was a healer that could heal anyone, including the gods, right? Chiron had a very special talent, gift for being able to be present with whoever needed the healing, where they were. And that's beautiful. Now, the interesting thing about Chiron is that despite being a healer, Chiron was not able to heal himself, which is funny, but took his wounding and utilized it to better others. And that's the thing. A lot of us can't necessarily get to a place where we're like, I'm 100% light. I have no shadow. I have no pain. I have no nothing. And if you are there, I don't think that you're on this planet. I think you must be ascended. Like, check yourself. Are you in the physical? Because I don't think we're meant to be that on this path. I think this earth path is a path of healing, an ongoing process. Yes, we can come into a place of wellness and even feel in balance with our wounds, with our challenges. But just like Chiron, I'm not sure that any of us are ever fully healed, fully enlightened, fully perfect. And that's the point. That is the point of this. And yet it's through your wounds and through the recognition of your shadow, of these pieces of your psyche that still have pain or pieces missing or whatever, that we then can help others. Now, this energy is all in Aries, which is of the self. Aries is I am energy. There's a lot of people who are focusing on like war energy. Yeah, Aries can represent war. It can. But I think more so than looking at the wars outside of ourselves, which are abundant and many, the healing comes when we look at the wars that we're still waging against ourselves, against the imperfections, against the shadows, against all of that. There's so much push towards perfection in the world, and yet you as you are is enough. One of the things that I was sitting on before recording this was, we here on Earth are as like numerous as the stars, right? Numerous as grains of sand. Like, there's a lot of us here, right? And each one of us is important. Every star in the sky is important. And that was kind of being pushed into me as a reminder in this eclipse energy. Who you are is so important. The universe is so grateful for your willingness and your acceptance to be here on this planet. And you, just as you are now, not in your healed state, not in any perfection state, not as anything else, but you as you are now is exactly what the universe has asked for and is grateful for your presence. So keep that in mind, because there's a crisis of self. And I think so many of us are like, I'm not doing enough. I should be doing more. I can't believe the world is in this state. You as yourself is enough, and you doing what you are called to do is also enough. So keep that in mind. Now, I want to say that this eclipse is a piece of many intense unfolding energies coming in the month of April. And we are still building to a very intense conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus, actually in the sign of Taurus. And Taurus is kind of where we go like, who I am is enough, like to the next step. So please keep that in mind, because while this eclipse is ongoing and it doesn't just all unfold right now in this moment, this will be another piece helping us to unfold these deeper lessons around why we are here and who we are. I always love to look at the Sabian symbol. The Sabian symbol for this eclipse is Magic Carpet. And when I was doing the write-up for this, the song Magic Carpet by Steppenwolf popped into my head. I never actually knew what the words were. I thought it was like something about fighting, but it's like all about like the use of imagination and dreaming and how fantasy will set you free. So in our first eclipse, we had some pieces of a call to vision. And in this eclipse, again, there's a call to vision. There's a call to fantasy. There's a call to recognizing your magical potential in that. So keep that in mind in and through this energy. that call. The Sabin symbol moving on to 20 degrees, because I like to read like the further unfolding of it, is a young girl feeding birds in winter. And it's a thing. One of my favorite stories in the world. It's a Native American story about a hummingbird. I'll have to see if I can find it online and post it if I can. But there was a great forest fire, and the hummingbird kept filling up its tiny beak and dropping water on the fire. And there were those who asked the hummingbird, like, why are you doing this? This is not really doing anything. And the hummingbird's like, I'm doing what I can. And I feel like that's the motto of that Sabin symbol, feeding the birds in winter. Do what you can. Own your little piece. Own your call to action in this world, and know that your little bit, you doing what you can, is also enough. I think so many of us struggle with that enoughness, and the universe is like, you're doing great, sweetie. You're doing great. I have here sign by sign. I don't know if I'm going to go through that and do that. I might go jump on a live and do that on a live, where you can be focusing. Before I show my cards, last thing I want to mention is Chiron and the North Node are going to continue to work on the sign of Aries, at least through the rest of the year for the North Node, and Chiron ongoing for a few more years. The healing of who we are is ongoing. This is our last eclipse in Aries for this eclipse season. It'll be back in a few years. That's the nice thing about astrology. These cycles come round and round and round. Yes, this is going to continue to work us. But again, do what you can. And meanwhile, keep taking those aligned, appropriate steps. Keep moving forward. Keep knowing, even when you're lying in your bed, you're moving forward. Trust in yourself. Trust in your call or lack of a call to action. I'm going to show you my Light Seers Tarot card because I think this is so appropriate in the energy. It's the Ace of Wands. Oh, I meant to talk about this, so I'm going to talk about this now. The Ace of Wands. I seed my brilliant future with the roots of creativity and inspiration. Should you look at the eclipse? Should you not look at the eclipse? Use your discernment. What feels aligned to you? We have different calls to consciousness. We have different calls to our own personal morality. I personally don't see anything wrong with looking at the eclipse. I think that I'm going to be clouded in here, so I don't think that I'm going to be able to see it. And I'm at peace with that, right? Find your peace. If it feels wrong, don't do it. Find what that alignment is for you in this. As for setting intentions, manifestation, because it's a new moon, I think that we're always setting intention. I think we're always working the manifestation. Yes, the new moon energy pushes that. If you are doing anything intentional, make it for the good of all. Hold space for that. People say that you shouldn't, but we always are. So plant and sow your seeds of love for a beautiful and brilliant future. As for the other cards, top of the cards, rebirth into our truest selves. But this self is conscious. It's the Ten of Swords. There is consciousness in the self. There is consciousness. There is an uprising of I am consciousness and recognizing ourselves as the universe unfolding, as universal consciousness unfolding, as cosmic consciousness unfolding. So just recognize that in and through this process. That being said, the mind is still going to brain it all up, right? Now, what's interesting, this retrograde is coming back like towards the North Node energy. So this Mercury retrograde is gonna run over this eclipse energy, and it's gonna come back to the North Node. It's gonna help us further release some of that rooster brain energy. That's what I'm gonna call it. I have the totality card. Totality, right? Be here now. Be in this moment of totality. Find your inner self. Find your inner peace. Whether you're looking at what's happening or you're inside meditating, tune into the totality of the moment. Be here now. And finally, turning in. I think this eclipse is a big moment for tuning in, turning in, listening to yourself, and just noticing what is up for you in your psyche, in your unconscious, in your shadow for healing. All right. So that is it for today. You can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. And the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power, believe it. And remember who you are, for you are the solution. Namaste.